Hey, what's going on, Chubube? Gotta fix my camera. We're still on the bad webcam. I've been meaning to get that fixed, but I've been busy. Wasn't streaming last week. The reason being, I was in the hospital. Not for myself, kind of. Kiddo had a kiddo arrive last week. So it's been busy in and out of the hospital, but we're back. And we're streaming. And today we're going to work on some stuff. But a little bit of news, a little bit of updates. So we have completed motion capture for the film, which is pretty sweet. So all the mocap necessary for every single character is 100% complete. So we've kind of been doing mocap, animation, lighting, and rendering like all at the same time. But now all of the motion capture is done, which means that we can just focus on animating, rendering shots, and all the most complex animations are done or being worked on like as we speak, which is cool because that means that we can focus up on the other aspects and get it knocked out relatively quickly. Let me turn down the music a little bit, turn it down so you can hear my voice with the music in the background as God intended. So I've been able to work on and like knock out entire scenes pretty quick, just because of that sort of approach to it. So we are on track. Everything's moving as expected, and so getting as much done as possible. But of course, now got another kiddo to be taken care of as well. So busy, but that's the reason we're still on the bad webcam. But we're gonna get into it. We're gonna work on some animation today. The animation we're going to be working on is one that one of our animators finished up earlier, so he kind of did his bit of it, and then we're going to be working in the lighting and rendering of it, and maybe bringing in some additional animation of some other characters, seeing what it calls for once we get in there, start really diving in. So we will get started. Let me get the screen up. There we go. Also, news for those who don't know, but Helldivers, there are automatons with jetpacks now. So we are living in crazy times. I have not played yet. I haven't played Helldivers in a bit because of the whole new family member situation. But I'm excited. I'm excited to get into it and see how that is. It looks like fun. So fun fact, I was scrolling through Instagram on like the Plot Coalition page, and the guy who runs the Hell Hub official account, we've been chatting for a good while. We're pretty friendly, but he commented on like the video, the like newscast that showcased the jetpack automatons, the new ones, so like the Hulks and stuff, and he commented with a GIF. It's kind of hard to see, but that animation, that GIF, that is the first YouTube video on that like blew up for me. So that's the Reaper attacking the group of grunts in my original Titanfall video, and I was like, crazy that that's like a GIF, but also like what a full circle moment of seeing it play out in that way. Looks like Unreal might have crashed. It's hard telling. I've been tinkering with Unreal Engine a little bit, And you know, it's had its things. We'll let it kind of load here in the background, but maybe we go and let me pull up that video, because I kind of want to talk through it, because I did rewatch it just to be like, you know, what's like how much has changed, you know. I was curious to just kind of like investigate that, and like there's a lot of things that like I think is still like super cool about the video, and then like other things that I'm like, man, like this has just massively improved. So I'll pull it up over here while we wait for Unreal to load, because it's kind of struggle bussing. But so yeah, this is the if you haven't seen it, this is the first video that was like actually did numbers on my channel, and it kind of kickstarted the entire New Frontiers series. So this was just like a fan trailer I did. I won't do the sound on it right now while I talk through it, but I kind of want to talk about like how different things are compared to like how I used to do them. So like one of the things that I think is neat about the way that I did this is that it's like, at least for this portion of it, it's like way more visceral and like grounded as far as like some of the camera choices and stuff. The animation is a little rough, and there are things that like have their own problems. But there are some things that are actually like genuinely pretty good. I think the big standout things, to me anyways, are one, the environment I built all by myself, which I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And then like I'm pretty happy with like just the way that some of this blocking and stuff turned out. But like you could probably see, I try not to focus on it too much, but like they're not actually like holding their weapons, because it was like before I like figured out like any sort of workflow to make it look like a character like had two hands on something. That's actually the reason why this guy is using like a handgun, because I was like, I can make that look better. But I mean, there are definitely like aspects of this where it's like looks decent, and then there's other parts that like, even like here, like a few people pointed this out. He has like a mag like already in the rifle when he goes to reload, and then when he does that, he's like not even holding on. But hey, you know, it is what it is. I am pretty happy with like this was like my first real workflow with like metahumans in this sort of environment. I had tinkered with metahumans a little bit before, but like in this instance, like I feel like the metahumans looked pretty solid, all things considered. Like you can kind of see his face coming up here. But then like this Reaper like was entirely animated by hand and stuff. So it was just kind of a neat full circle thing when I saw the GIF posted from this video. I was like, oh, that's like kind of neat to see like a GIF from this video on a Helldivers post. It's pretty neat. But yeah, that's the New Frontiers original trailer. There are some things that are like still like pretty decent, like this whole bit with like the Ronin in the North Star, which you would recognize like is something that made it into like the final series. You know, that's like, you know, something that stood out. This was also all done with Titanfall, mostly Titanfall 1 models, and then like was figuring out how to rip Titanfall 2 models. Like I found like this BT online, but he wasn't like an official game rip. Same thing with like the North Star, but like everything else was Titanfall 1 models that I had found. Same thing with like the Ronin, obviously Ronin, Titanfall 2, Reaper, Titanfall 2, and I think it was my brother-in-law who ripped a couple of those things, and then some of the other stuff I just found online. But it's just kind of neat. Again, like a cool full circle moment to see it all come back. Death Stranding 2 did recently come out. Have not played it. I don't really have plans to. I'm currently replaying The Last of Us. I'm playing The Last of Us Part 1. This definitely crashed. Let me take a look here. Shut down Unreal. But yeah, I'm currently playing through The Last of Us Part 1. Yeah, not responding. You know, I enjoy The Last of Us. For a long time, it was like hands down my favorite game. And I still like it, and I can still appreciate it. I think what I'm finding, and maybe this is just because like I have more kids, is like I don't. It's not that I don't like it, but I think something that like Helldivers does well is that like you get in and you start playing the game, and I forgot how much of The Last of Us is just like move from cutscene to cutscene. And I was like, man, this is it's going a bit slow. So I'm thinking this is probably going to be my last playthrough of The Last of Us for a while. I do also wonder how much of it is just like Last of Us fatigue, because just between all the re-releases and all the stuff with the show being like really subpar, I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like there's some Last of Us fatigue going on. And I think it's also just like I equate it to the golden age, like the Naughty Dog golden age. It's like, you know, you had Uncharted 3, Last of Us, Uncharted 4, Last of Us 2, and it was just like, oh my goodness. Like, banger action game, great story game with great action. Another banger action game, another good story game. At least I thought so. I know that's a controversial take, but yeah, going back through and playing it, I'm like, man, there's a lot more just walking around and waiting that I didn't remember as much of. But it's fine. It is what it is. I also see that I might be lagging a little bit. I think this Unreal Engine situation is bogging us down. It might be because I'm trying to stream it, open it at the same time. Yeah, it's not responding again. I'm going to go ahead and end that. We will animate a different shot because I got a few things we can jump in and animate. I was working on a scene before this. I can certainly wrap up those animations. So I had installed Unreal Engine 5.6. And it's pretty cool, but it is super unstable. I'm actually kind of disappointed because it's got to be like one of Unreal's sloppier releases, I gotta say. And I think they just tried to pack too much into it, without necessarily like optimizing how those functions work. Which, you know, in the midst of things like Mind's Eye isn't a great look. But there's a lot of really cool stuff with it. But it definitely, like, before I can start using it, definitely needs at least a patch. So still operating 5.5, and I'm happy to be doing that. But let's check out this scene instead. It's definitely going to load faster because it's much, much smaller. Because it's just the interior of Pelican 1 for a couple of scenes. So we'll focus up on this, and I'll look into that other level later. It's been a little bit since I opened it. Again, been in the hospital and stuff and all that jazz. So it could just need to recompile shaders, or I might have to install a new driver or something like that to get that level back up and open. I just ate a hair. Blech. Yucky. Okay. And I also did that one. So these shots are rendered. Cut to Helldiver on the Pelican. In the same framing as the last shot. Easy enough. So we'll just, I'll probably go through, animate these shots, and then maybe call it good. I have been, again, new family member, new kiddo. Haven't been sleeping a whole lot. So it'll probably be a relatively short stream. So I can catch some Z's and probably hop on for a couple of quick Helldivers games against the jetpack automatons, those guys. Because that does look fun. Has anybody here played against them yet? What has been your experience? Give me pointers, give me tips. How does one deal with such enemies? Let me know. Alright. So I started, because I learned from the last time I did a scene inside of Pelican. It was pretty tough to deal with the capes and everything, and when their backs are up against the thing, like, you can't even see that far, so I just deleted the capes. And it works a lot better. I'm gonna throw some previous animation on these folks. That'd be 12A. And I'm just gonna get them moved. Because this shot isn't about these folks, but I just don't want them in the way. So I'll just throw an older previous animation on. We won't even really see them. But in case there's like any reflections or anything like that, you know, at least like in a reflection still see these characters doing their thing. 10. Give him a transform. Also, if you're watching this, you've been watching my channel for a while. Actually, going back to the whole thing with that that video of the first video that I made. I want to do a quick segue to my buddy Modin31. If you're not subscribed to Modin31, I'd recommend you do so for a couple of reasons. One, he's just a good, solid creator. He gave exposure to that video like when it first came out, and like was a huge reason as to why, like, you know, my channel did well. So if you like what I do, go check out his stuff. But he was in an accident earlier this year, and he basically became paralyzed. So what I'm trying to say is go over to his channel, because he's taking it like a champ, and yeah, he's doing like 100 days gaming as a quadriplegic, which is a pretty cool venture that he's on, to, you know, like, keep doing his thing, but also, like, you know, keep things moving. So if you like what I do, I can attribute the success of my channel to Modin, and you should go check him out because he's really powering through and making things happen. What's up, Brood Commander? Welcome to the stream. We're making it happen. We're animating. I was gonna animate a different shot, and Unreal kept crashing, so I popped open a different Unreal project, and we're just gonna finish up some animations on here, which will be good because actually when I finish up these animations, I can close this scene out. Our spreadsheet is getting smaller and smaller, which is really cool to see. We have a super in-depth animation spreadsheet that just accounts for every shot, everything that needs to happen for the film to be finished. And we're chipping away at it. Actually, here, let me show you, because I was talking about earlier how we finished up the mocap for the film. So this is like the mocap for one scene right here. So this is one scene worth of motion capture. And yeah, it's cool to have the mocap in a place where like every character is accounted for, and now we can just animate with that, so nothing is like in the wings or missing. But yeah, so it's 958 motion capture files, and it's about a little more than 82 gigs. So pretty cool. Pretty cool that we're here. I remember when we finished motion capture on New Frontiers, that was like a huge milestone. Like the Red Dead short was a little bit different because it was like the actors came in and they acted and they did like their thing, and like when they were done acting, like the motion capture was captured, right? With the exception of the drunk guy. I did his motion capture later. But you know, like otherwise, like the actors came in, we had like a 6 hour shoot day for that film. And they did the motion capture and the face capture at the same time. But New Frontiers, you know, was like a lot of going through and doing every single scene and building it out. Me and my brother did motion capture for like 6 straight weeks. It's like after work, getting started on it. And what's kind of funny and a little bit of plot coalition lore is we finished the motion capture for New Frontiers before my second son was born, and then we finished the motion capture for this the day before my daughter was born. So pretty cool. I was up pretty late just working on getting the motion capture done as much as possible, and I got it there, which is pretty cool. But now I can just like have a focus on animation without having to be like, you know, looking for those or like having to go back in and redo mocap. There'll probably be like a couple of things that like are done like either as supplementary or like for additional ads or whatever, but otherwise it's going to be pretty or it is done. Sorry, I was trying to make sure I was thinking in the right context of what this shot was proceeding. All right, let's throw a camera in this shot. I was gonna try and do more of an action shot because I like to do those on stream, just so like, you know, it shows the the bigger, more bombastic side, but like this is also part of the film too. This is just more of a character moment than like an action scene. It all contributes. It all also makes it happen. And this is supposed to line up with a shot in a later scene. This is like part of a flashback. So I'm going to leave some generous room just so that can be lined up in the edit nicely. But I mean, this one is going to be pretty easy. Because it's just a pushing on the face. That feels good enough. I'm gonna add this to the movie render queue, but then I'll just render it all out at the end. Hopefully, don't crash. Fingers crossed. Also, I hope my audio sounds okay. It seems like it might whacked out. Give me 2 seconds. Sometimes my audio, like, I don't know if it does it like on the stream, but coming out of my speakers or my headphones, sometimes it gets a little wonky. All right, I'm gonna save that one. Let's move on to the next one, which is gonna be this. This is a lot of back and forth of like close up of the character's face, close up of what they're looking at, close up of the character's face. But this next shot, this is actually like low-key, not even low-key, high-key. This is some incredible animation by one of our senior animators who's just been absolutely crushing it. Where's that animation? There it is. But his animation work here, you're about to see it, is just like this guy can legitimately do anything. So talented. So I had been giving him like a good amount of animations, and this is one that like I was like, you know, if I do ever do it, like cool, it'll be some good experience. But he wanted to do like some intricate animation, and so I passed him this shot, and he crushes it every time, I swear. And I'm just gonna actually just make this sequence the length of his animation. All right. I'll probably do the same thing I just did for, well, at least this character, because their knees might be in the shot. Probably won't do it for the other folks, because there's not really a reason to. 1201. If it does look like the other characters will be in the shot, obviously we'll make them sit down, but I think this one will be fine as is. So we'll mark a keyframe for them. All right, his animation is 475 frame a doozies. And we'll slide her butt back into the chair. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute, just with like how good this animation is. Uno momento, por favor. Alright, I need to go grab the prop. Which also, this prop is just a phenomenal model by another one of our talented teammates. It's this right here. It's an original like model that they made. It's just got like some really solid design, and it's based on concept art too, which is like just like a really cool thing to see, like different team members who have worked on this like bring their own stuff to it. So like, you know, there was a concept artist who like made the device in a piece of concept art, and then this 3D modeling artist like recreated it in 3D, which was just cool. But all right, so that should where is it? Does it have a different rotation? It does. This is 90 degrees. So we will fix that. We'll just keep all the transforms over there. All right. But like, look at this incredible animation that this guy did. Like, it's just so well done. So we're gonna get a camera in there. Get it looking correct. And then we have to add a thing to the screen as well. Something other than stratagem ready. But we'll get to that momentarily. We'll probably just jump into Photoshop to do that. But we'll set up a camera for now. Just get it set up and doing what it needs to do. So we'll go for, it's F4. Maybe we'll go F3.5. And we'll shoot it on a 50 mil. So it does look like we will have to make this guy sit down. Give him some animation as well. And can play with the screen too. I actually should probably make a pause version of that texture. Then when they hit play, I have to go to play. But let's get the camera motion down first. So we know we want it to end right about there. Just make sure it's like focused up to this point. on this, and then we can turn the screen brightness on that down a little bit. Hey, look at that. The name of the film. For the 4 of you watching, Inside Scoop. Then we'll make these smart. The smart keyframes are such a time saver. Because they basically just take into account like what it thinks you're trying to do and just like curves them to that. Which like I find a lot of the time is like pretty accurate to what I was looking for. We could also, maybe rather than making a different texture, I could try one moment. Screen texture, on off switch, and brightness. Maybe when she presses play, that could be what turns it on. Ooh, yeah, because then you can see all the finger smudges and stuff. Oh my goodness. Ah. The artist did such a good job with the details on the prop. Yeah, that has to be the play right there. And flips it over, presses play. And that is, yeah, but oh man, cannot deny seeing all the smudges and stuff on the screen. That's gotta be the way it's used. I think I might turn the screen brightness down just a little bit more. Probably what I'll do is also just render out like a couple versions of this shot, like in different frame rates too, just in case I need to hold something in the edit for a moment longer. Yeah, that feels incredible. All right, so this guy definitely needs animation. So let's throw an old animation on him. Since you can see his feet moving around, 1201, lever 10. It's just something a little bit extra, you know? just to kind of also, like, you know, there's a little bit of that wiggle and stuff. And that's what's kind of nice about doing animations this way. Like, knowing what every shot is, it's like, if I know I can recycle an animation, that is, like, gonna have zero, like, you know, the way that they're moving their legs from one shot to another, it doesn't matter if it repeats, because, like, it's not, like, the focus of the shot at all, you know? But having that little bit of movement and having it already animated and seeing shadows kind of move in a different way, it's good. It's good. It adds more to it. And, like, you know, when you jump out, it's like, you know, this is the scene. Maybe we'll add his animation too, just in case it does have an effect on the light. I don't know if it really does. But the nice thing about Unreal Engine is that, like, you can monitor that. You know, you can kind of see those differences happening live. It's like that's exactly what just informed the decision about having the screen be off. That's why I like working in this software so much. Is because, like, you see it immediately, and then you know that's the creative decision. Like, that's the way to go. So save. Maybe I'll just slide all these animations over a little bit, because there's like sort of a clap that I do to keep everybody, you know, on the same sync point. So I'll just move that into later. So this is all kind of happening. Obviously, we're not, like, really looking at any of this, but it is from, like, an earlier set of shots where the same thing does, like, play out, where you get more of their conversation and stuff. But this is kind of flashing back to what this Helldiver is experiencing. And then, like, obviously, like, yeah, like, this is wildly incorrect, but it's all about where the camera's placed. So now, probably see, yeah, you can see that the shadows are being broken up a little bit more in the background there, because he's moving his hand around and stuff. And then this other Helldiver, she's going to move her hand too, and just make for some more, like, you know, make it feel more alive, which is a nice touch. Alright, so now we need to do the same kind of thing for this stratagem screen. Like, it needs to change up what it's doing. So let's do a quick save. And let me just see. I could always throw a plane on here and just stick it to her arm. Well, let's see what this texture is actually doing, because I'm going to have to play with this texture specifically quite a bit more for some other shots to do, like, you know, the arrow system and whatnot. So let's go find that. Yeah, it looks like it's really just this. Yeah, it's just the screen, and then it's this right here. So what I'm gonna do is we'll export this. Oh, there, okay. Mission success screen. Stratagem screen. And we'll call this strat ready. Save it out. And then we'll pop open a Photoshop. Wicked in Photoshop. Which, by the way, I have been transitioning out of Adobe. My goodness, is that a freeing experience? I feel like Photoshop, like, it doesn't give me enough problems for me to dislike it. What I really don't like about Photoshop is I have a tablet with a pen. I have a pen tablet, and Photoshop doesn't, like, it's so slow to respond to it compared to every other software. I use it a lot for my curves in Unreal, like doing animation curves and stuff. I need to get used to it more for like moving things around and doing more animation, but I've kind of fallen into some old habits just directly with mouse. But I do really like having the pen tablet for that, but like Photoshop is super weird with it. But my point was gonna be, you know, I've been enjoying moving away from it, and for visual effects, I'm learning Fusion, which has been pretty fun. All right, I'm looking for clone stamp. How do you make it bigger? I'm used to clone stamp in After Effects. Alright, so I'm just gonna say take that. Okay. I guess I could line this up directly on one of these. Ugh. Kind of ugly, but we'll make it work. Yikes-a-rooney. Yeah, this pattern is just kind of tough. All right. What happens if we just... No, no. Ew! You're so scummy, Adobe. Why can't generative fill run locally on my machine? Gross. That shouldn't be a... Adobe is such a scummy company, dog. Alright, well, hey. That works. Okay. Yeah. Screw you, Adobe. Just gotta save this in here. Okay. So I3. What does the script say to do? When in doubt, refer to the script. Scene 12, script. That's what it was. I don't love the I in this font because it looks like 13 here. So maybe I'll throw on a different font just for that letter. It's the this is like right in the way. What about, oh shoot, what's the font that I'm thinking of? No, not that one. It's not Babus. Oh, Fluja 1. Or, it's not Fluja, but it's Fijala? Fijaya? Nope, not that one either. Shoot, there is one that I know for sure does the I. That's close. That is the furthest away yet. Is it United Sands? Do I have United Sands? Doesn't look like I do. That's Babus. Babus new. I just don't want an I with that's just a line because it looks like it says 13. Electrolyze? Nope. Can I move this bar? Let's move this over here. Haha. I mean, worst case scenario, I can just like basically do like just do dashes across the top, but I'd rather just like, you know, get like one font. You know what I mean? I-3, that could certainly work. I just want to make sure it's like as clear as possible. Like that right there, that's looking pretty good. And it doesn't look too far off from the font that the 3 is in. Maybe we just reduce the tracking. Or maybe the size of this dash. Let's move that individually up. No, that's the spacing. Where's the up and down doodle? There we go. That feels pretty good. Maybe there's just a little bit too much. Hello. That's the width, although increasing the width does kind of help. That's like both of them. I swear, I just do not like Photoshop. What I really don't like about Photoshop too is like they changed it to where like it pops open a different window. I don't like it. I swear, I become grouchier about Adobe every single day. Whatever, I'm not worried about it. Let's get back into a real man's program, like Unreal Engine. Strat I3 extracted. So do that one. Maybe we'll turn off the text entirely so we can animate on off of a blank. Then we'll save this Photoshop file. We'll go in here. And then we'll create material instance, my screen, blank, and create a material instance, ion screen, I3. Cool, and then we can just animate off of these. Scoober doober, super boober. Blank. And I3. Now let's save all. And here we go. So now I can take this. Check this out. This is the problem with dealing with hash names. MI screen. We want the screen switcher. Wait. Yes. And we'll get the blank. And then we'll keyframe it. And we'll switch it to I3. And we'll switch it to blank. And we'll switch it back to I3. And now I'll do like a little blink. And then I should be able to or maybe I just need to go in and because it's using a switcher, just go into this instance and set it to like 1. And we can control that. 1's a little harsh, so we'll go to 0.5. Maybe 0.35. That way it just like flashes a little bit more. Draws more attention to it. That looks pretty good. Again, between the animation that our animator did, the modeling of that, and just like the setup and all the other animation stuff, the camera and everything, like, this feels nice. It's just a good feeling animation. Maybe we'll have that start a little bit sooner. Just so when she pulls it up, it's a little bit more, like, noticed. Overall, that's feeling pretty good. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna say save on that one. I'll throw it into my render queue. Render it post stream, but now we'll do, let's see here. So there are two face close-ups here, and they're relatively the same thing. So I think what I'm going to do is just combine them into one. This won't totally close out the scene because I still need to do the exterior shots of Pelican flying into the Super Destroyer, but I might just focus that up on another time because I'm getting pretty sleepy. But I'll combine this. Like her looking at the screenshot. Which is going to be 89 plus 61, which is 150. Right on the money. Show me the money. Yo, so fun fact, it has been getting so hot that I've had to put an additional fan on my computer and pop off the back. Like the side, or I guess, yeah, pop off the side and then work on it. Kind of interesting, but all right, let's see here. Like even earlier I was trying to render and it was so hot outside and like in my office that just wouldn't render it. A little too much head movement. That feels pretty good, and then we'll add a little blue light. Maybe attach it to the actual arm. That'll turn on to make it tie in a little bit more. Let's add our control rig. See, this is the movie magic. Is because now we're gonna put her behind the seatbelt because we're gonna be looking this way. But in the other shot, we didn't need to. I'm gonna switch into unlit mode. Super helpful for dark scenes. I like animating in unlit mode. Just figuring out where everything is supposed to be as like a rough. I try not to get like too into it. Because like there's even an example this morning I was animating a shot. If you go onto my Instagram story, you can see it. But it's a shot of Eagle 1. And she's like doing all this stuff, and like I kind of got carried away doing the animation on that clip, and I was like, you know, adding little nuances. And I did this whole animation of like, she's like tapping stuff on the screen. She's holding a joystick, and I did this whole animation where like she's holding it like this, and then she moves her thumb and like kind of readjusts her fingers, and like you can barely see it in the final shot. And I was like, I put a little bit too much in right there, but it is also, I recognize like little things like that is like, you know, making this film special. So that's cool too. There's so much more going into this than previous films. And like obviously a lot of effort went into previous films, but like I've fixed so many things that were problems before. It's just like kind of cool to see, you know? What I might do here, since this will be like a shot of her specifically, so it might take all this. Here, let's hit a keyframe for all the body, but then also let's add the pelican. And watch this. We're gonna give this a try. Pelican 1 control rig. In theory, where is it? Show yourself. Oh, wait. I need Pelican 1 control rig full. There we go. So, I should be able to take this because this is... Nope. That's attached to something else. Front slider. This one. So I should be able to take the harness and give it a... look at... I think... Ooh! I've not really messed around with all these too much. So... I only want this to move on the y-axis. Hey, what's up, Ark? Welcome to the stream. How you doing? How you doing? Okay, so maybe if I delete beyond the roll keyframes. No, it still has control over them. I'm trying to figure out. If there's a way to just make this control on a single axis rather than like all of them. Create a temporary pivot. Could this be where we learn? That's cool, Ark. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, and then I can change the pivot. That's interesting. That's actually kind of cool. Very neat. Very neat. Yeah, so I suppose we'll keep this as a look at. And maybe we'll just like look at spine 2. Just so there's a little bit of I want it to like look like there's a small bit of movement to the harness. But like not like it's you know, too heavily locked in. And then this is supposed to be kind of an angle looking up at her face. Where be our camera? Show me the camera. I think we could go 50 here. We'll go 50 here, then we'll add a light. Then maybe around, how long's that other shot? The other shot's 89 frames. So maybe we go to 90 frames. Grab the head. Just do a quick. Let me just do some quick spline control. Because my thinking is like when it cuts back to it, I just want a subtle like maybe I'm just like overkilling it. And then we'll also add for the second half of that shot, because this is also like it's two shots as one, and then they'll be like split apart and put on two different sides of the clip afterwards, just to save on, you know, not having to do a bunch of unnecessary animation. Where's this rect light at? So when we come back to this shot, it'll be after the screen turns on like it did in the other shot. So we'll use this to mimic the light coming from the screen and hitting her face. So we'll make it nice and small. Have the border of it just go past her face. Make that nice and blue. And this is where we can kind of, you know, use some creativity to continue to light it to where, like, you know, the helmet creates a nice split right in the middle of the face. So if I do it here, and we'll parent it to the wrist, and then when she looks over, we'll just go back to 89 and set it to 0. But now, like, it'll be on for that second half of the shot. .25 is a little extreme, so we'll go 0.05. 0.075. Maybe make it a little bit more of a rich blue. Then I think the final thing I'm going to do, just because like it's very orange and there's not really like anything reflecting in the light of the visor. So maybe we'll do maybe very similarly. We'll add a small yellow light to mimic the music player thing. Actually, we could always just use the music player itself. Pull that in. We'll place it just under the camera. Maybe. It actually doesn't look like it's producing enough light. So we'll go back to the other idea. It was worth trying. Sometimes you just gotta try things, you know? But this we can actually put under the camera. We don't have to worry about it like interfering with the camera at all. Should be nice. I'll make the attenuation just nice and small. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just apparent this to the other arm. And at about the same point, we'll have this turn on. So this shot is getting a good amount of love from lighting. But the first part of the shot, it's still pretty dark. So what I think I'm going to do is just light like the half of her face, kind of pretending there's light coming from that screen that's in the ship to be directly on her as well. That gives some nice shape. So now we will actually we'll add these folks. And just nuke them underneath the set to get them out of the way. And the reason that I didn't like spawn these guys in individually is because I knew I would need them like sort of in each shot anyway. Oh yeah, see, like without without them blocking, it actually works a lot better. Now it's almost too lit. So maybe we'll drop the camera down to like a 4.5. Since we're getting the kind of light that we were looking for anyways, but then we'll just turn these up a little bit. That's feeling more cinematic. Actually, this light is supposed to be on a bit earlier anyway. Let's just have it on from the very beginning. That feels pretty good. Maybe for safety, we'll make this one a 48 FPS shot anyway. All right. So I'll add this. Looks like movie render queue might be backing up a little bit. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, I mean, that's several shots. That's gonna be close to closing out an entire scene for me. I wish we could have gone in and done the other scenes that I'd been working on, but unfortunately, Unreal just was not playing nice, playing fun. So I think we're gonna call it right there. Thank you so much for joining, for watching, for hanging out. It's good to be back live streaming, hoping to be done with the bad webcam soon. Maybe fish cam again. We'll see. But thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to try to put out another video soon. If you want to become a member, feel free to do so. It really helps the channel out. But hey, if you're just here as a viewer, happy to have you. We will catch everyone next week.